Hello, everyone. This is the Schleg Daddy, one half of the Wedge Busters, and it's time for my predictions for Week 3 of the 2011 NFL season. Maybe it's time I start putting some money on some of these games. In Week 2, I went 11-5 versus the spread, which brings my 2-week season total to 21-11 versus the spread. Kicking things off this week, the New England Patriots, who have been impressive, especially on the offensive side of the football in their first two games, take their 2-0 record on the road to face fellow 2-0 AFC East team, the New York Jets. Nope, the Buffalo Bills, baby. After last week's impressive comeback against the Oakland Raiders, the Bills are riding high and enjoying some positive momentum early on. The Patriots come in as 7.5-point favorites. I've got to be honest. I do think the Patriots will win this week's game, but when you're picking against the spread, it really doesn't matter. I would anticipate a shootout. I think something around the lines of 35-31 is very well possible. It wouldn't shock me at all if the Bills actually did win this game. I will take the Bills. You know what? After 2 weeks, they've done pretty well. I'll take the Buffalo Bills plus the 7.5. This next game features the number 1 overall pick from this year's draft, quarterback Cam Newton, and the number 10 overall pick in this year's draft, quarterback Blaine Gabbert, as he makes his NFL debut. The Carolina Panthers play host to the Jacksonville Jaguars, the two expansion teams from the 1995 season. Oh boy. All I have to say about this is Cam Newton is a far better talent than Blaine Gabbert is. Personally, I never understood the hype behind Blaine Gabbert. Just saying, he was Chase Daniel plus 5 inches. Chase Daniel, got drafted in like the 7th round? And Gabbert goes 10th overall. I'm just saying. So, all other things being considered, I think the Panthers offense has been surprisingly effective the first 2 weeks of the season. That trend will continue. I will take the Carolina Panthers minus the 3.5. The 49ers are kind of smarting after blowing a lead against the Cowboys last week and losing that game in overtime. And the Cincinnati Bengals, well, golly, let's see how many more of them could get busted for selling marijuana out of their fucking house. Jerome Simpson, Anthony Collins, you're morons. Anyways, the Bengals are 3-point favorites at home. I will take the Cincinnati Bengals minus the 3 because it seems like when their guys get arrested, they play better. I don't know. Miami travels to Cleveland to take on the favored Cleveland Browns, who last week scored a victory over the Indianapolis Colts behind the impressive 2-touchdown performance of Peyton Hillis. Me personally, I do think the Dolphins will get a victory this week. To be fair, they have played the Patriots and the Texans the first 2 weeks. So that's kind of a tough road to hoe at the beginning. So give me the Miami Dolphins plus the 3, and hell with it, they'll win on the road. The Motor City is riding high. Why? Because they got more bailout money? No! It's because the Detroit Lions behind quarterback Matthew Stafford have started off the season in impressive fashion. 2-0, baby. I guess the Lions think they are for real. Well, we'll find out. Another test for them this week comes as they travel to the Roller Dome, a place that I don't think they've won in forever, to take on Adrian Peterson and the Minnesota Vikings. The Lions are favored by 3.5. The Vikings, for the second week in a row against the Buccaneers last week, gave up a double-digit halftime lead. This time, they are playing at home, so that must matter a little. But I do just think the Detroit Lions are a better football team. So give me the Detroit Lions minus the 3.5. Run away and hide, Houston Texans. That's what you need to do, baby. So now the Houston Texans take their 2-0 show on the road and go into the Superdome to face the New Orleans Saints, fresh off the heels of a stomping of the Chicago Bears in pretty much every facet of the game. The Saints are favored by 4 in this matchup. The Texans have been impressive through 2 weeks, make no mistake about it. They routed the Colts, and they played some very strong defense against the Miami Dolphins last week. But we are talking about the Colts minus Peyton Manning, and we're talking about the Miami Dolphins offense. So, let's keep it in perspective a little bit. I expect this to be a high-scoring game, but ultimately it's very, very tough to win in the Superdome as a road team. Give me the New Orleans Saints minus the 4. Next up is an NFC East battle. This should be a good one. The New York Giants travel to Philadelphia to take on Michael Vick and the Eagles. The Eagles are favored by 9 in this matchup. Ultimately, I think the Eagles will win this game, but I don't think they'll cover the 9-point spread. So give me the New York Giants, even though they don't have Mario Manningham on offense. Give me the New York Giants plus the 9. Off the heels of their impressive Week 2 victory against the Ravens, the Titans are 7-point favorites as they play host to the non-Tim Tebow-led Denver Broncos. Oh, boy. There's some boring AFC action if you ever fucking seen it. All right, bottom line is I really don't care about this game. At least I'm telling you I don't give a shit. You would expect Chris Johnson at some point to come to life a little bit, because anybody that has him in a fantasy football league, I don't, but I'm sure others of you out there do. You've been disappointed. So expect a big game from Chris Johnson this week. I'll take the Tennessee Titans minus the 7. The New York Jets at 2-0 travel on the road to the Black Hole to take on the Oakland Raiders. It should be interesting to see how the Raiders respond after last week's, let's face it, choke job in Buffalo. They should have won that damn game. Good teams find ways to hold on and win those type of games. You cannot piss away big leads like the Raiders did this past week. I still maintain that I believe the Raiders are the best team in the AFC West and will win that division this year. Unfortunately, the Jets are just better, so give me the Jets minus the 3. Oh, it just goes from bad to worse in 2011 for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now they get to travel to San Diego to take on Phillip Rivers and the Chargers. Oh boy. If you are an owner of any San Diego Charger offensive player this week, you better hope he scores you some big points in the first half, because this one could get ugly. And as a result, they may sit on a big lead in the second half. I'm just saying, the Chargers are favored by 15. I'm not trying to dog the Chiefs too much, but they kind of rode on smoke and mirrors last year to a 10-6 AFC West championship. This year, reality's catching up with them, and injuries are really hitting that organization hard. Give me the San Diego Chargers minus the 15. The Ravens flew high in Week 1. In Week 2, they laid an egg. Now it's time to find out what they're going to do in Week 3 as they take their show on the road to face off against the St. Louis Rams. The Rams have not looked good so far this year. They have played the Eagles and the Giants, so they have played a decent caliber of an opponent, but it's not the start maybe that Steve Spagnuolo and Sam Bradford wanted this team to have. They probably thought they would at least split the first 2 games. Baltimore needs this win very badly, especially a road victory, and to kind of validate themselves after that disappointing loss to the Titans last week. The Ravens are favored by 3.5 in this matchup. Give me Baltimore minus the 3.5. Arizona travels on the road to face off against the sucky Seahawks. Andrew Luck, FTW! The Cardinals are favored by 3.5 in this matchup. And to be quite frank with you, the Seahawks in the first 2 weeks have shown me about a collective bupkis as a team, especially on offense. I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals on the road, even though Seattle can be a tough place for opposing teams to play. I'll take the Arizona Cardinals minus the 3.5. A battle of NFC South teams. The Atlanta Falcons travel to Raymond James Stadium to take on Josh Freeman and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Falcons rebounded nicely on Sunday Night Football last week, defeating the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Buccaneers played better in the second half in Week 2, coming back from a big deficit to beat the Minnesota Vikings in the Roller Dome. The Falcons come into this game as 1-point underdogs. This damn near works like a pick'em game, so it's just a matter of who you think is going to win. The Buccaneers rediscovered their running game with the LeGarrette Blount last week in the second half, and Atlanta just seemed to, even though they were kind of ugly in the first half, they seemed to start hitting on more of their cylinders in the second half. Even though it's a road game, I will take the Atlanta Falcons plus the 1. The Sunday night game sees the Pittsburgh Steelers, fresh off of shutting out the Seattle Seahawks, traveling to Lucas Oil Field Stadium to take on the now woeful 0-2 Harry Collins-led Indianapolis Colts. The Steelers are favored by 11 in this matchup, and boy, the Steelers got a little lucky here, as this looked like before the season this was going to be a very interesting matchup, and now it looks like it could be a Steeler round. Me personally, I don't see any reason to give the Colts much of a chance in this game. I'm sorry, I just don't. I think Pittsburgh will generate too much pass rush out of that 3-4, similar to what Houston did to the Colts in Week 1. So give me the Pittsburgh Steelers minus the 11. And if you have Rashard Mendenhall, he'll probably have a big day facing off against this Colts' porous run defense. The Monday night game sees the surprisingly 2-0 Washington Redskins traveling to the house that Jerry Jones built. What a fine monument to that man's ego it is to take on Tony Romo and the Dallas Cowboys. Now, with this being a Monday night game, it does give some of the Cowboys players like Tony Romo, Felix Jones, Dez Bryant, Jason Witten some extra time to recover from some of the bumps and bruises that they have. One interesting thing to watch will be to see how Tony Romo is able to play through the rib injury and the collapsed lung, and whether or not Dez Bryant is going to play, and if he does, how effective he will be. The Redskins are 6-point underdogs in this matchup. I'm sorry. I am a Bear fan. Rex Grossman sucks. Redskin fans, your team is 2-0, and I respect you for it. But I am not picking Rex Grossman to do well on a Monday night game. Give me the Dallas Cowboys minus the 6. Let's be honest. In Week 3, there can only be one game of the week. This has to be it. A rematch from last year's NFC Championship game. The two oldest rivals in the NFL. The Aaron Rodgers-led Green Bay Packers, tasteless Tony T's team, travel to the Spaceship Soldier Field to take on Matt Forte and my beloved Chicago Bears. The Packers are favored by 4 in this matchup, even though they are the road team. This will be very interesting. The Packers, while they have started off 2-0, their defense has been shredded pretty well, both by Drew Brees and last week by Cam Newton. So they have some questions on that side of the football. For the Bears, their trench play, both offensively and defensively in Week 2, was pathetic. They got 0 pass rush on Drew Brees, and they couldn't protect Cutler to save his life. And then, of course, Cutler does what Cutler does because he's a crybaby bitch, and he goes, But the bottom line is, I don't expect that same thing to happen this week. Familiarity breeds closeness. And what I mean by that is, since the Bears and Packers play twice a year, and they played 3 times last year, there's not going to be a lot of surprises. So, unless one team comes out and completely lays a freaking egg, I do expect this to be a competitive, close game. The Bears are at home, the site of their NFC Championship game loss. I do expect that Jay Cutler and the Bears have a lot to prove, and they have revenge on their mind. The challenge for the Bears is going to be how they can contain Aaron Rodgers in that passing game. They're going to have to generate pass rush with their front 4. And on the other side of the ball is Green Bay's defense going to be able to step up and play better than they have the past 2 weeks. The Bears' offense really is lacking in playmakers except for Matt Forte. But if Forte goes off and has 150 or 175 all-purpose yards and a touchdown, Green Bay is going to be in trouble. You know Tasteless Tony T is going to pick the Green Bay Packers minus the 4. My upset pick of the week. Yep, I'm going to say it. Fuck it. Why not? The Chicago Bears plus the 4. The Chicago Bears to win, getting revenge for the NFC Championship game last year, beating the Green Bay Packers. Let us know down below this week what you expect out of Week 3 of the NFL season. And if you want to take me on head-to-head, give me your picks against the spread. I use Bodog.net's odds. You can look them up and go toe-to-toe with the almighty Schleg Daddy. For the Wedge Busters, I am the Schleg Daddy, and we'll see you later.